Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle with the ASIS strike.
You have done your work, you have put us to the wall. We are not the slaves.
I'm not a small boy. You should have given me the report.
I have not seen the report.
Right, welcome to Africa's finest breakfast show, Global Morning on Global Television. My name is Anthony Momodu. Welcome to today's broadcast. The promises to be exciting as we look at our various issues plaguing Africa's biggest black nation, Nigeria. All right, then we'll be looking at our very salient issues today on this course, hopefully on the top of the hour by exactly 8 o'clock. It's going to be time for us to look at what the papers will be saying this morning, and also we'll be looking at other issues, other segments like taste and texture, sports, business, and other things, other discussions that will be looking at salient issues like labor and the NLC battle for supremacy. We'll also be looking at the Kano trial, the implications, and we'll be looking at paper reviews. All this will be given to you to make your morning truly amazing, but I'm not alone. I've got my co-anchor in the studios.
Good morning. It's a beautiful time, and yes, it is Global Morning. I am Jumai Manson. Hope you've been having an amazing time with us, and of course, the Global Morning program is here, and we'll be keeping you informed back to back. Don't go anywhere. Let's quickly go on a quick break. You're welcome back. We're just tuning in. This is Global Morning. We have interesting reviews for you this beautiful Thursday morning. And of course, you know, we celebrated International Happiness Day. Hope you kept yourself happy throughout the day. Anthony, did you keep yourself happy throughout the day?
My day was truly amazing. I had a lot of fun. Was with family, loved ones, talked to all day, and said many great things, reviewed and remembered memories we shared, and it was truly amazing. And getting the job done in the workspace was also something that made me very happy, being sure, and getting my guests on time for my program, especially the desk, where we looked at very salient issues, and definitely the sporting program, Talk Sport. It was magical, talking about all the big things that happen in the exciting world of sport. And this morning we'll also be looking at some interesting talking points playing out, one of them being the issue where the fire service said for the lack of water, they couldn't safeguard a 4-story building in Lagos that burnt down. And that issue is disturbing because we've always heard that every time you call a government agency, the police or the fire service, there's always either we don't have water or we don't have fuel to come to your rescue. And this was what played out in Lagos. Very sad commentary. And we don't know when these shortfalls in government agencies would stop.
Unfortunately, that's an unfortunate incident there, and I'm sure lots of properties must have been burnt down or taken away. But at least no life was lost, right, Anthony?
Well, reports haven't confirmed that, and hopefully we hope that hasn't played out. But in the coming days and weeks, I will be able to get full details as regards if lives were lost or not. All right, we're still looking at issues playing out. The issue of the Nnamdi Kanu's incident. The people of the Southeast are still expressing their displeasure as regards the continuous detention of Nnamdi Kanu, the IPOP leader. The very important talking point there was the fact that it's been said that Justice Binta Nyako refused him going to Kuje prisons, saying she could not, guarantee his safety. So the question is, are they saying the Kuje prisons are not safe enough for our inmates, and why should they be selective, places to put certain kind of inmates? She says DSS, having him under the DSS makes her feel more comfortable. That's something that makes me wonder what she's trying to imply.
Maybe because he might be a threat once he's out. We do not know. It's a win-win situation. Nnamdi Kanu, he has the backings of a lot of southeastern indigents, and of course, the iPod is one class in question, not the terrorist group. We're not sure yet, but with all the informations we gather, he could be a threat to the nation. So one has to be very sure in order to allow his freedom, in order for him not to be a threat in the nation in which we find ourselves. And so more interesting news, the House of Representatives on Wednesday passed a bill that was sent by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on the review of salaries, allowance, and fringe benefits of judicial officers nationwide for the third reading. And that's a very, like we mentioned, there was a judge who was on a motorcycle going to court. That was a sad incident that happened there that made rounds on social media. So the review of salaries upward, it's a step in the right direction. And of course, based on the provisions of the bill, judges are to get over 800% pay rise, as the Chief Justice of Nigeria is even earned 64.6 million naira annual basic salary, and allowances far higher than what obtains currently. Of course, that's a step in the right direction for judicial officers who stand to give us right judgment when it comes to law and order, infringement of freedom, and all of that encompass.
All right, we hope this will be extended across board because it's not just the justices that get the job done. And if you make the justices comfortable, what happens to the clerk of the house, the baileyman, and other lawyers who do the groundwork? What it means is that you have some persons trying to sabotage whatever the justice was supposed to deliver. So I think this should be done across border so that everybody in the judiciary seems to benefit from this new pay structure. And also looking at other professional bodies, we believe that the judiciary is not just the only professional body that deserves a pay rise or better structure. Those in the health sector that have been crying foul, and that have, we've got statistics from the NBC tells us that 16,000 Nigerian doctors and medical professionals exited the country in the last 1 year. And that's very disturbing. And also, recently, we've got some news coming from Plateau State where a quack doctor goes around in different schools and agencies offering medical attention to people. And it got to a stage where they have started harvesting organs of unsuspecting victims. So this is just due to the fact that we've got a lot of our medical professionals exiting the country for better pastures. And so I think the government must, if there must be a rise in pay structure, it should be across board and at all the key, factors, the professional bodies in the health, in the judiciary, in the education sector, security sector. These are sectors that are very key to our national development and our existence as a nation. So the federal government must do well to spread this across board and not just the justices, because it looks like a selective development they are trying to do, focusing on just the elite in the specific profession rather than everybody across board, which would be better for Nigerians, especially if we cast our mind back to the recent payment of ASU, paying ASU their withheld 2-month salary, but leaving out NASU, NAT, and SANU, which makes the whole thing very cumbersome, because right now, ASU, yes, they're ready to work, but NASU not ready, NAT not ready, so the university is still shut down. So what do you benefit? Nothing. So I think the federal government has to be more wise, prudent in its way of doing things, and that's the only way we can get the job and the nation running.
Still talk about people in the medical sector. Looking at the JACPA Council, nurses begin legal battle over new certification guidelines. Now, some countries in Nigeria have sued the Nursing and Midwifery Council of Nigeria and the Minister of Health, among others, over the new certificate verification guidelines. Of course, this will give restrictions, when it comes to JACPA, this JACPA syndrome. Without being certified, how can you travel abroad and present your certificates? Well, it's an unfortunate incident there. Do you think this is like an infringement of freedom or right, or one of them? Because,
Well, I think the federal government is just trying to be strategic as a way of slowing down the large number of health professionals.
Yeah.
This came about after the MBS came out with the statistics that 16,000 plus health professionals exited the country. So the government, as a way of a measure to reduce the number of those leaving the shores of the country, decided to say, before you leave, you have to get the certification, and the certification process, which used to be very seamless and easy, where you apply for leave of absence, is no longer granted to health professionals, as a way of slowing down the number of health professionals leaving Nigeria. On one hand, it makes sense as a way of safeguarding the lives of Nigerians, and also ensuring that quality healthcare delivery is gotten across board. I remember very well how well Shapee did when it was able to take quality healthcare to the grassroots by ensuring that women went through the 4 antenatal stages and also did deliver in a medical center rather than at home, which made it very good. And there was lots of successes, and the mortality rate did reduce. And so it just tells you that government also is aware that things are going bad or going south in some sectors. So I think more needs to be done for things
exactly,
to get better.
because these nurses are going out for greener pastures to make life more easy and simple when it comes to economy, because the economy right now is not so good. But for this particular halt, it's very sad. It means that the government needs to do more. Like we said, it's not just some particular sector. It should be all sectors when it comes to health, which is very basic and very important, essential in our nation at the moment.
All right, that's some of the tidbits we are sharing with you. We still have many more to give to you, but let's quickly give you some taste and texture. Then when we return, I'll be sharing some other important details that you have to have yourself, especially for today, the 21st day of March, 2024. Stay with us.
Hello and welcome to another heavenly episode on Taste and Texture. I'm Fatimi Abba Umar. Spice up your culinary adventures with this Nkwobi recipe. Tender cow foot is perfectly cooked and mixed with bold and flavorful palm oil sauce. Serve as a side dish or main course. This traditional mouth-watering delicacy will propel your taste buds to the heart of Nigeria. It is a popular southeastern delicacy from Nigeria. It is prepared with tender cow feet and colorful spicy soup based fragrant with African nutmeg, aka ehuru. It is usually served piled high in a shallow wooden bowl accompanied by a local palm wine, cold beer, or soft drinks. Now, ingredients for making Nkwobi. 1 gram meat, chicken, wild meat, goat, cow foot, assorted meat. 2 cubes of seasoning, 10 leaves of utazi, edible potash, 1 spoon, palm oil, 200 ml, ugba, 1 cup, 6 peppers, scotch bonnet, onions, 2 slices, 3 seeds of ehu, calabash nutmeg, salt to taste. And now to the making. The first step is parboiling the meat with some ingredients: onions, 2 cubes of seasoning, and salt to taste. Then allow the cooking for another 50 to 60 minutes until the meat is completely soft. This is necessary because Nkwobi, as a Nigerian pepper soup, is basically made with different soft meats, just so it's not hard to chew. Most preparation processes take place in a small mortar, an African carved hollow wood, but you can use a pot if you are not in Nigeria. Slice the onions and utazi and set aside on a plate. Some people choose to add this during their preparation process, while others use them as decoration purposes. One way or the other, utazi and onion should be part of the ingredients used in preparing Nigerian Nkwobi. You can boil the ugba in a small pot of water for about 2 to 3 minutes. This technique helps eliminate the fermenting bacteria. Note that this ingredient is processed with the help of a harmless bacteria. This is just to be on the safe side, even though most Nigerians eat uba without heating it. Cook the meat until it's almost dry. Check to see the water level. This is necessary so you don't end up with another kind of pepper soup. Stir the cooking meat in the pot to be sure that it doesn't burn. Did I say that it is also necessary to cut the meat in small sizes? Then now let's make the nkwobi. Dissolve the potash in about 250 ml, 1 cup of water, and fill about a cup into the pot. Add about half cup of palm oil into the pot. Stir to obtain a thick yellow paste, ncha. And you are just a few steps away from having a very delicious nkwobi. Once you have the ncha, add the uba, a pinch of salt, a stock cube, utazi leaves, ehu, and peppers, all pounded together. Also add 2 spoons of ground crayfish, then stir very well before adding the meat. Stir together and add the meat. Note, if the meat is too hot, it will dissolve the ncha and turn it reddish. Allow the meat to cool for 20 to 30 minutes before using it. The utazi is very necessary because it adds a faint bitter taste, which is an integral part of nkwobi. You pound some and you slice some. Stir, serve, and enjoy. Most times I serve nkwobi with boiled white yam. That's just why you have an extra sauce. Alternatively, it is served in the wooden tingy as an evening snack. Nutritional value. Cow food is a very good source of protein and collagen, which is beneficial for skin, hair, joint, and health. The palm oil used in the sauce is also rich in vitamin E and antioxidants. That's all for now. Bye.
All right, welcome back, Zulayat. Thank you for bringing us back to life. It's always a pleasure coming back to life.
I've always been. Point of correction, Anthony. You better be careful. We've always been alive. So when you say back to life, I'm trying to wonder,
TV. We're talking TV.
Okay, back on air. Let's use the right word.
No, life. Yeah. I meant life is life.
Back
life is air. Life, like when you're.
We're not going to argue on air, right?
Okay, see, I think it's part of what they enjoy on Global Morning. She just can't help get under my skin.
Yes, I can't
That's
help
what you get when you have, okay, not a friend. You've got a co-uncle that looks in the mirror and sees what you're trying to put on in the morning. All right, let's just, it's just a continuation of the word happy day. All right, let's get back into discourse. Don't mind what you have.
Let's quickly go on a quick break. Global Morning returns shortly. What's
deeply sorry for that. I don't know, that very loud noise due to some technical issues beyond our control, but we're glad we're back on air and glad to know you're still there waiting to have all the fun.
You almost ran out.
Okay.
Ran out.
This never-ending story of someone really trying to get under my skin.
All right, it's still Global Morning. And we have, let's talk business at this point, right, Anthony?
Yeah, let's look at Take Back Wednesday, no longer Tuesday, right?
This is Thursday. This is Thursday. Are you kidding me? Maths 2, days 2. Let's quickly go on a break. Business news comes up next. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere.
Hello and welcome to Business Reports on Global Morning. Nigeria has witnessed a significant surge in tax earnings from foreign firms, with the figure nearly doubling in the span of 1 year. The significant fiscal boost is likely due to the weakening of Naira, which has increased the local currency's value of foreign transactions of non-import value-added tax and foreign company income tax payment. The latest data from the National Bureau of Statistics for 2023 indicates that Nigeria's revenue from foreign-related value-added tax rose by 61%, with figures reaching 824.6 billion naira, a significant increase from 510.8 billion naira in 2022. More noteworthy is the surge in corporate income tax from foreign entities, which has seen 107% increase, climbing from 1.14 trillion naira in 2022 to 2.38 trillion naira in 2023. Cumulatively, the total tax revenue from this stream rose by 93% from 1.66 trillion naira in 2022 to 3.21 trillion naira in 2023. While the increase in tax revenue is a welcome development for the country's finances, it also highlights Nigeria's economic exposure to exchange rate risk. The current boost in tax earning is significantly propelled by the Naira's weakness, while beneficial in the short term, may mask underlying vulnerability in the economic framework. PZ Cousin Nigeria attempts to delist from the NGX has hit a roadmap as the Security and Exchange Commission has declined the company's request for its major shareholder, PZ Cousin Holding, to buy out other shareholders. According to a corporate disclosure, PZ Cousin Holdings intended to buy the share held by PZ Cousin Nigeria shareholders at 23 naira per share. However, the SEC declined the company's request for no objection to this move. Reasons for SEC's decline to the request were not contained in a statement signed by the company's secretary, Olubukola Olonode Agaga. The Nigerian Autonomous Foreign Exchange saw a notable appreciation, with the closing rate standing at 1,560 naira to a dollar. This represents a significant gain of 36.67 naira, or 2.35% from Monday's closing rate of 1,597 naira to a dollar. Accordingly, the naira maintained its position below the 1,600 naira to a dollar, marked the second day in a row, a threshold it had previously sustained for 9 days since March 5, 2024. The trading activities also reflected an increase, with the daily turnover reaching $195.13 million, marking a substantial 38.93% rise from the $140.45 million recorded on Monday. Furthermore, data from FMDQ Security reveals that there has been an impressive increase of 4.34%, or $1.43 billion in daily turnover from the beginning of the year to March 18, 2024. However, the Naira experienced varied outcome against key international currencies within the investors and exporters window. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
All right, you're welcome back. And of course, you were well informed when it comes to the world of business. I know I was. And up next is sports. Can we go in for sports, or we just prepare for the AM news? Let's go in for sports. Don't go anywhere. Global Morning returns shortly.
Hello sports fans, welcome to Sports News Update. Super Eagles ace Osayi Samuel faces 10-match ban. This is according to rules and regulations of the Turkish Football Association for violent conduct. Osayi Samuel, who is expected Wednesday to join the Super Eagles in Morocco for friendly against Ghana and Mali, was seen giving it back to fans who invaded the pitch during this game. He will plead self-defense to avoid punishment. A dozen fans were arrested during the crowd trouble and they will be prosecuted. In the meantime, his Turkish club Fenerbahce have said they will consider withdrawing from the league. A meeting fixed for April 2nd will take this decision. The Istanbul Giants are second in the league standings, 2 points behind leaders and city rivals Galatasaray. Minister of Sport Development John Enoch has praised the Daniel Igadi-led Nigerian Wrestling Federation following the exceptional performances of Nigeria's wrestlers at the African Senior Wrestling Championship in Alexandria, Egypt. The wrestlers dominated the championship, claiming a plethora of medals to continue their stellar form from the African Games in Accra, Ghana. At the African Games, all 6 women events gold medals were claimed by Team Nigeria, while the men won 3 silver and 2 bronze medals. In Egypt, they have since secured 4 gold and 1 silver under coach Purity Ako's guidance. In a statement, Senator Enoch expressed profound admiration for the leadership of the Federation as well as the exemplary dedication of the athletes and officials. Brazil's justice system will decide whether former Manchester City and Real Madrid striker Robinho will serve his 9-year rape sentence handed down by an Italian court in the South American country. Brazil's Superior Court of Justice will examine the Italian request to approve the prison sentence that was imposed in 2017 and ratified in 2022. Robinson da Souza, popularly known as Robinho, remains free despite his conviction for being among a group of 6 men who gang-raped a young Albanian woman out celebrating on her 23rd birthday at a Milan nightclub in 2013. Kostan Koltsov, the boyfriend of tennis world number 2 Aryna Sabalenka, died of suicide on Monday evening after jumping from a hotel balcony in Miami, police have confirmed. The 42-year-old Belarusian, who played hockey for NHL's Pittsburgh Penguins, was announced dead by his former club Salavat Yulev on social media. Reports in Belarus claimed Koltsov, who has been dating Australian Open champion Sabalenka, 25, for 3 years, died of a detached blood clot before police in Florida revealed that he jumped from a balcony at a 5-star resort. Authorities in Miami have taken over the investigation as apparent suicide. England manager Gareth Southgate is reportedly Sir Jim Ratcliffe's number 1 choice to replace Eric Ten Hag at Manchester United this summer. Ratcliffe is increasingly confident of tempting Southgate to Old Trafford after his Ineos sports team canvassed United legends, according to Daily Star. They claim that Southgate, who has been England boss since 2016, has the backing of some of the United's current players and also incoming director of football Dan Ashworth. Southgate and Ash worked together at the Football Association and would reportedly be keen to team up again. Southgate's contract with the Three Lions expires in December this year after the European Championship in Germany. And that's how we call it a wrap on the Sports News Update. I am Anthony Momodu. All right, welcome back from the world of sports. Exciting stories there just for your own pleasure and get you well informed as regards the stories in the world of football, tennis, boxing, and others. All right, it's now time for us to step into the Global AM News studio and give you all the big stories making the rounds. Stay with us. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to AM News on Global Television. We are live in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Anthony Momodu. President Bola Tinubu has sent an executive bill to the Senate seeking for the establishment of a new salary, allowance and official benefit for judicial officers. The president's request was contained in a letter read by the President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio. In the letter, President Tinubu said that the executive bill entitled Judicial Office Holders' Salaries and Allowances, etc., Bill 2024, will generate a new legal framework for the wages of judicial officers to improve their welfare. The bill, which establishes a new legal framework for the remuneration of judicial officers, will also ensure significant improvement in the welfare capacity and independence of the judiciary, Tinubu said in the letter. The National Assembly, comprising the Senate and the House of Representatives, has passed the Prolonged Student Loan Bill. The bill, which scaled first, second, and third readings in both parliamentary sittings, became a law on Wednesday. The Senate resolution followed the consideration of the committee's report on tertiary institutions and TET Fund. Muntari Dandusai, chair of the committee, presented the report during plenary. The House of Representatives has called on the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to urgently provide relief materials to communities, schools, and individuals affected by rainstorm in Akwanga, Nasarawa, Egon, and Wamba Federal Constituency of Nasarawa State. The House also urged the federal government to relief agency to swiftly initiate the reconstruction of the destroyed schools and rehabilitation of persons affected by the rainstorm. He also noted that the rainstorm, which destroyed homes and schools, has rendered many constituents homeless, disrupted the education of students in these communities, and has put some residents in critical conditions with various degrees of injuries. The House of Representatives has passed a bill seeking an extension of the implementation period for the 2023 supplementary budget. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu urged the House of Representatives to extend the period for the implementation of the capital segment of the 2023 appropriation bill from March 31st, 2024 to June 30th, 2024. The President's request was contained in a letter read on the floor of the House of Speaker by the Speaker, Abbas Tajuddin. In the letter, President Tinubu also asked the House to extend the implementation of the Supplementary Appropriation Act from 31st March 2024 to June 30th, 2024. The President noted that the extension became necessary to ensure that the provisions of the two acts were fully implemented. A federal high court in Abuja refused to stop the impeachment move against the Edo State Deputy Governor Philip Shuaibu by the State House of Assembly. The House of Assembly had on March 5, 2024, commenced impeachment proceedings against Shuaibu over allegations of leaking of government secrets. Shuaibu filed an ex parte motion seeking an order of the court restricting the State House of Assembly, the Speaker, and the Clerk from commencing any process by holding proceedings or setting up any panel of investigation for his removal, pending the hearing of a motion on notice. However, Justice James Omotosho, in his ruling on March 13th, refused to grant the application. He said the governor of Edo State and the Edo State House of Assembly, who are the principal actors in the matter, have not been served with the originating summons of the suit as required by law. Abia State House of Assembly have passed a bill to stop the payment of pensions to former governors and their deputies in the state. It is entitled a bill HAB 11 for a law to revoke the Abia State Governors and Deputy Governors Pensions Law number 4 of 2001 and for other matters connected therewith. It was sponsored by Uche Naokoro, the majority leader and member representing Arochukwu State constituency. The Speaker, Emmanuel Emerua, announced the passage of the bill after its second reading, consideration at the Committee of the Whole, and its third reading during the day's plenary. Members of the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, the Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational Associated Institutions, and the National Association of Academic Technologists of the University of Lagos staged a peaceful protest in front of the school's gate. They blocked vehicular movement and hindered the free flow of traffic in the environment. They sang and displayed various placards to register their grievances with the federal government over their withheld salaries. The Jack of Nasu and SANU had for about a month called the government's attention to its exclusion from the payment of the withheld salaries, which it commenced payment for the Academic Staff Union of Universities in February. Their salaries were withheld when the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari invoked a no work, no pay policy against the ASU, SANU, and NAT, who embarked on a strike that lasted 8 months, 4 months, and 5.5 months, respectively, in 2022. The Federal University of Lafayette branch of the National Association of Academic Technologists has joined the nationwide 3-day warning strike over the non-payment of 5.5 months withheld salaries of its members by the federal government. The administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari had invoked the no work, no pay policy, which meant that the university workers would not be paid salaries within the period they were on strike in 2022. But President Bola Tinubu had in October 2023 directed that the university workers who embarked on a prolonged strike over the inability of the then government to address their concerns be paid 4 months of their withheld salaries. The North Central Zonal Coordinator and Chairman of NAT in Fulafia, Kenneth Ono, said they decided to embark on the 3-day warning strike, which would end on Friday, to express their displeasures over the federal government's neglect of the plight of their members. The Nigerian Labour Congress stormed the National Secretariat of the Labour Party in Abuja to protest the party's national convention planned for the end of this month. The Congress also demanded the sacking of the national chairman of the party, Julius Abure. The NLC leadership accused Abure of planning to hold a secret convention without the input of major stakeholders. The planned convention has pitched Abure against the NLC and the House of Representatives caucus. The workers accuse Abure of planning to destroy the Labour Party. The Nigerian Air Force NAF has destroyed the arms storage facility of one of the most wanted terrorists operating in Niger State. The military operatives acting on operation continue to comb the northwest and north central regions of Nigeria to smoke out the terrorists. Spokesman for the Air Force, Edward Gampuet, an Air Vice Marshal, made this known in a statement in which he disclosed that the credible intelligence gave away the storage facility of the terrorist. The Nigerian Air Force aircraft under Operation OPWP has continued to decimate terrorists and their logistics, especially in the northwest and north central regions of Nigeria. You're watching AM News coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on Star Times Channel 276. Kindly follow us on all social media platforms using the Global TV NG and all the handles now showing on your screen. When AM News returns, subsidy removal, federal government, state and local government allocations hit 10.14 trillion naira. These and other stories coming right after this break. Do stay with us. Back from the break. This is Global Television bringing you live broadcast of AM News. Thank you for staying with us. On the foreign scene, Britain's annual inflation rate fell more than expected in February. Official data showed fueling speculation that the Bank of England will cut interest rates this year. Inflation reached 3.4% last month, the lowest level since September 2021, after hitting 4.0% in January, according to the Office of the National Statistics. The consensus had been for consumer prices to rise by 3.5% in February, according to Bloomberg survey. Inflation remains well above the Bank of England's 2% target. A South African bank says a court had ordered a halt to outgoing payment from ex-President Jacob Zuma's account in a dispute over loans for improvement to his private home while in power. The First National Bank said the measure was the result of a legal action taken by the liquidators of another bank which is owed money by the 81-year-old politician. The measure is likely to further taint the reputation of graft-accused Zuma ahead of the general elections on May 29th. In power from 2009 to 2018, Zuma is fronting a small startup party that is threatening to take away key votes from his old home, the African National Congress. In business, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Nyesom Wike, has presented the FCT 2024 statutory budget proposal of 1.147 trillion naira to both the Senate and House of Representatives committees on FCT. Making the presentation before the Senate committees, the FCT minister disclosed that the budget revenue sources would be made up of internally generated revenue infrastructure support fund, amongst others. Kikelomo Okere has more.
The Minister of Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, noted that the total sum of fiscal framework comprises of proposed distributable revenue of over 510.3 billion naira and non-distributable revenue of 637,416 billion naira.
We have a fiscal framework of sum of 1,147,780,610,283 naira, comprising distributable revenue of 510.3 billion and non-distributable revenue of 637.4 billion.
Wike, giving highlight of the FCT appropriation bill, says 280 billion naira is earmarked for overhead, 726 billion naira for capital project, and 140 billion naira for personnel, bringing the total budget to 1.147 trillion naira. He further highlighted some of the projects to be executed from 2024 FCT statutory budget proposal,
which is being proposed for the FCT 2024 statutory budget after due deliberations with all the revenue generating agencies of the FCT. Also take into consideration the parameters highlighted in paragraph 8 above. Now, when you compare the revised 2023 appropriation of the sum of 641 billion, there's an increase of the sum of 506 billion, which is 44%. In the 2024 statutory budget proposal. The increase is as a result of the expected loan from the commercial bank since we have exited from TSA in the sum of 500 billion.
Presenting the budget before the House of Representatives Committee on FCT, Wike listed some of the critical projects to be executed by FCT administration in 2024 statutory budget proposal, to include completion of roads B6, B12, construction of access road and car park for Abuja Light Rail Day Gwagwa Station, Lot 5, full scope of development of area road from Northway Park to other Northern Express. He also said there will be provision of engineering infrastructure to Guzapi, provision of engineering infrastructure to Wuye District, extension of Inner Southern Express from Southern Way Park to Ring Road, full scope development of FCT Highway, among others.
It's important to note that the FCT statutory budget is mainly funded from the 1%, from the proceeds of the 1% of the 52.6% or the statutory allocation of the federal government that comes from the federation account, and also internally generated revenue and other sources as contained in the revenue fiscal framework.
Chairman of the House Committee on FCT, Honorable Aliu Betara, and other members of his committee assured the administration of their unwavering support, charging him to look at revenue generation and Area Council IGR. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
The House of Representatives have passed a bill for an act for upward review of the salaries, allowances and fringe benefits of judicial officer holders in the country, with a total monthly package of 5.39 million naira for the Chief Justice of Nigeria in the executive bill submitted to the Green Chamber by President Bola Tinubu. Other justices of the Supreme Court are to earn a total package of 4.21 million naira, while the President of the Court of Appeal is to earn a total monthly package of 4.48 million naira. Similarly, justices of the Court of Appeal are to earn a total monthly package of 3.73 million naira, while the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, President of the National Industrial Court, Chief Judge of the FCT High Court, then the Grand Khalid FCT Sharia Court of Appeal, and President Customary Court of Appeal, Chief Judge State High Court, and Grand Kadi of State Sharia Court of Appeal and President of the State Customary Court of Appeal will earn a total monthly package of 3.53 million naira. The monthly package comprises basic salaries and all regular allowances, including car fueling and maintenance, personal assistance, hardship entertainment, utilities, security, outfit, journal subscription, medicals, service allowances, restricted or forced lifestyle, and dual responsibility and legal researchers. The federal government said it would provide student hostels in 36 tertiary institutions across the country. This is even as the government has indicated its willingness to construct more hostels once these first sets are completed. The Executive Secretary, Tertiary Education Trust Fund, Sonny Ochonu, stated this when he hosted the new leadership of the National Association of Nigerian Students led by its president, Lucky Emonefe, according to a statement by the fund on Wednesday in Abuja. In the statement, the TED Fund's Director of Public Affairs, Abdulmumuni Oniyangi, quoted Ochonu as pointing out that there is increased allocation for maintenance of TED Fund infrastructures above 5 years in the 2024 intervention cycle. The federal government says it has uncovered the identity of 15 entities, including 9 individuals and 6 bureau de change operators and firms allegedly involved in terrorism financing. Details of the development were reviewed by the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit in an email sent to our correspondent entitled Designation of Individuals and Entities for March 18, 2024. The document revealed that the Nigerian Sanctions Committee met on March 18, 2024, where specific individuals and entities were recommended for sanction following their involvement in terrorism financing. Among the individuals named in the document was a Kaduna-based publisher, Tuku Mamu, who is currently being tried by the federal government for allegedly aiding the terrorists who attacked the Abuja-Kaduna train in March 2022. The Nigerian Customs Service (NCS) has championed an Authorized Economic Operators AEO program to enhance the efficiency and predictability of trade facilitation efforts in the country. The Comptroller General of the Customs, Adewale Adeniyi, during a stakeholders meeting in Abuja, says the program will foster collaboration between the Nigerian Customs Service, other government agencies and experts to boost AEO programs. Kikelomo Kere has more.
The Comptroller General of Customs underscores the determination needed to work together and ensure that the narrative is changed about the ease of doing business in and around Nigerian ports. He says 7 key stakeholders that are legal entities whose operations span across the international supply chain have been carefully selected by the pilots program. The CJC revealed that selected importers exporters, small and medium enterprises, custom license agents, logistic operators, and government agencies as pilot stakeholders to run the pilot scheme of the AEO program in Nigeria. It says this program will enhance the compilation of data as well as address some of the challenges faced in the Nigerian ports.
Sharing, executing our shared objective and visions have continuously proven to be invaluable in navigating the complexities of modern global trade, especially as they affect our landscape. And it's therefore on this premise that I feel highly honored to welcome you to yet another significant milestone in our collective efforts to enhance the efficiency and predictability of our trade facilitation efforts. The culmination of our efforts resulted in the launch of a time-released study, TRS, last month. And this measures the time taken to clear goods as part of ongoing drive to optimize the trading experience within Nigeria.
The CGC further assures the stakeholders of Nigerian Customs Service commitment to run the pilot program of AEO successfully, adding that steps are being put in place for the implementation of the Authorized Economic Operator program, which starts from 15th of April 2024. The Custom Boss further reels out that the objective of the pilot program as a course is to evaluate the visibility and effectiveness of implementing the AEO program.
Today, as we are taking these steps with you with the implementation of Authorized Economic Operator program, which hopefully will start from the 15th of April 2024. The primary objective of the pilot program are two. The first is to evaluate the visibility and effectiveness of implementing the AEO program within the Nigerian Customs Service and to solicit feedback from all our key stakeholders. Through these pilots that we want to run, we aim to identify potential challenges, fine-tune our processes, and lay the groundwork for a full-scale rollout of the AEO program, hopefully in October 2024.
The Director General of the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDAN, Charles Odi, commended the Nigerian Customs Service for its proactive approach to engaging small-scale businesses owner through the Authorized Economic Operators program.
The CGC, since it came on board, has taken giant steps to ensure that it promotes the activities of the Nigerian Customs Service and also automate the Nigerian Customs Service processes that will ultimately lead to port efficiency.
Chief Superintendent of Customs and Project Manager of the Authorized Economic Operators, Awa Nina, says the pilot phase of the program is designed to streamline custom clearance process while ensuring transparency and inclusivity in line with the international standard.
There's need to ease cost of doing business, and by qualifying for AEO, you stand the chance to have your cost eased. And then the stakeholders will also have the chance to identify areas where we need to upgrade, things we need to fine-tune for a successful program.
It could be recalled that the NCS in February 2024 launched a time-release study as another measures to optimize the trading experience within Nigeria. The CGC urged the participants to expedite their commitment to ensuring the potential of the AEO program, which will foster a culture of efficiency, custom process compliance, integrity and collaboration that will propel Nigeria. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
That's it on AM News, and it came to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on Star Times, channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using our Global TV NG and all the handles now showing on your screen. I am Anthony Momodu saying thank you for watching and see you soon. I think it's always nicer when you're bold enough to say how you feel, express your emotions. Even like there's a saying that says it's better you lose your pride to someone you're in love with rather than lose someone you love to a useless pride.
Oh, wow.
So I think it's that's Shakespeare said that.
Oh,
take that to the bank.
Black Shakespeare. I'm trying to understand how this correlates with newspaper review.
No, we didn't say we're going to papers already.
Okay, so we're just talking about. But the truth is, sometimes, if you don't want to speak your mind, you can just do it in a way that you can. Let's just quickly go on a break. That's another story for another day. But right now we're going to a newspaper segment. Don't go anywhere. It's still Global Morning. Keep it locked.
All right, welcome back to the program. You're still watching Africa's Finest Breakfast Show, Global Morning on Global Television. It's now time for us to look at what the papers are saying this morning as we look at the big stories making the rounds across our board. My guest is Republic Current Affairs analyst, and he's also a consultant, policy consultant. So it tells you the quality we're bringing in this morning to help us look at the papers. He's not that person, but Emmanuel Ozoemena. I like the rhyme in his name, and that name has a lot of meaning, especially for those from the Niger Delta part of Africa's biggest black nation, Nigeria. Ozoemena, nice to have you.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
Most times you remind me, especially with your new beard look, takes me back to Wole Soyinka and those in the literature society. Nice to have you. How would you describe the current state of policies in Nigeria before we step into the papers?
Well, I think we have a new administration, obviously, that is trying to find its fitting in the policy space. But again, there are a lot of existing literature, or what you could call corpus of knowledge. And you also have some people who have moved around different administration. You could call them institutional knowledge holder of in various spaces. I think one of the things they may do that would be helpful would be to find a way of navigating it through them. Because one of the things I have realized that happens in an administration is that each new administration, instead of building on an existing knowledge base, they want to recreate the wheel. And that's why you have this lacuna from time to time, between moving from inauguration to activity to now having impactful policies. Nigeria has existed in the last 63 years as an independent country, over 100 years as a nation. So that building on existing knowledge is very important if we need to, have a quantum leap to development, especially around policy, within the policy space.
But looking at the current administration, we've seen this back and forth policy somersault where they bring in a policy, then they now retract and say, okay, we're not ready. Especially, for instance, the student loan back and forth. So it's going to kickstart today, tomorrow, no. Then they now take it back to the National Assembly. Then even for the Federal Consumer Protection, FCCP, we saw Wayne Babatunde Irukara was to be sacked. He was already sacked before the presidency took it to the National Assembly for approval. Then it's like they do things before they, do their background check.
On a student loan, I'm particularly curious about it. Curious in terms of what are we talking about? There's nothing new about student loan in Nigeria. You have two already existing processes which students can, access loan. There's Federal Scholarship Board that is out there somewhere in central area under Ministry of Education. And then Babangida, I think in 1989, set up what he called a Nigerian Education Bank. So when people were clapping, I said, look, it's as if we have this selective amnesia that we forget. In fact, I remember in 1998, I met the MD, the managing director of a Nigerian Student Loan Bank. In fact, he passed on a couple of months ago. He's from somewhere in Ukwa West of Abia State. So what I thought would have happened if I was an advisor in National Assembly before we even started, it would have been to pull out the current existing legislation around Federal Scholarship Board, then look at because there's a law, an existing law setting up Nigerian Education Bank. So look at it, what are the lacunas that we have there?
And plug into it.
Study it, what achievement did they have? And then why wasn't it as impactful as it would have been? Was it that the students, people within the education sector were not properly sensitized? By the time you study it, just an analytics of what happened. What it does is that you can take it as lessons learned. So when you are coming up with a new legislation or an amendment, because what I think should have happened should have simply be an amendment. So it shows me that either people who are in the legislative house don't do enough thinking or employ enough consultants who can do the job. They were talking about it as if it had never happened. I think going forward, we should learn how to do things better.
All right, let's look at the papers right now. It's now time for us to look at the papers. And I told you we've got Emmanuel Ozoemena, who is a policy consultant and also a public affairs commentator as we look at the papers this morning. Let's begin with the Daily Trust. Let's see what the big stories are saying on the Daily Trust, front page of the Daily Trust. We have controversy trails a leaked list of terrorist financiers is one of the big stories we see there on the paper, Daily Trust. And we've got others. NFIU disowns memo. 4 of the 6 indicted BDCs not registered with CAC, and case already in court, says government officials. And we've got Reps raise CJN's monthly pay to 5.3 million naira, while Supreme Court justices get 4.2 million naira. We also have other interesting stories there. Varsity union strike is a kicker there. Exams stall in BUK. Lectures are disrupted in others is one of the headlines. And we've got why I will not negotiate with bandits, says Governor Rada. And we've got other interesting stories. 193 billion intervention loans declared lost by CBN. All right, let's quickly look at Daily Trust. A quick one. Controversy trails the leaked list of terrorist financiers. Why should there be controversy? It's a list that was gotten from the government. Now we have the NFIU denying claim of the memo. Is this to say the list is not true?
Well, if you do just a bit of deductive reasoning on the response or rebuttal from NFIU, it simply says, look, leaked memo. A memo is supposed to leak in the first place. That's number one. Number two, it shows it's not an official statement. If you read through the papers give the impression that NFIU issued a statement around list of terrorist financier. And then there's another writer there that also calls for attention in Daily Trust when they were talking about, the issue of the BDC response.
4 out of the 6 not registered.
Not registered. If you look through it, it's a case already in court. So if you have a case in court, what should happen? You are not supposed to leak memos.
but does that make the memo not authentic?
Look at it. Now, what do you do in court? No, what do you do in court?
Okay.
If case is already in court, what I expect to see is the chat sheet, because that's what the judge presiding over the matter will be looking at, a chat sheet. So what are the allegations or the alleged offenses? So, because to get a judicial trial, a charge sheet is the first thing to say, these are what we are accusing the accused person on, because their lawyers could simply go to court and say, look, my lord, I'm not sure my clients will get justice in this matter because there's already a lot of information in the public space, not officially, presented in court.
But when we talk about
so that becomes an issue.
When you talk about being official, does that mean the whole other stories or details are not correct just because
no,
released?
I'm sure NFIU has a prosecutorial powers. I don't know whether it's NFIU that will be taking them to court or the EFCC or any other agencies of government that has a prosecutorial powers. So that's number one. So until you bring a matter before the court, you can't act on it. That's number one. So you need to take it to the court, properly documented or presented through a charge sheet, and then the people who are being accused would have a right of defense.
Okay.
So if you don't establish that processes, any other thing you're doing is merely a media trial. And media trials cannot be sentence anybody to prison or whatever. Can't find anybody guilty.
But why does it take the government so long a time to come out with a list of people who truly are sabotaging the nation through terrorism financing?
Okay, look at it. There are already existing legislation on terrorism financing. I mean, several of them. So what do you need to do? It's a court of law or a court of competent jurisdiction that should make a pronouncement. Even the government, you have 3 agencies of government. You have executive, legislature, and judiciary. So at this point in time, if you have found anybody guilty of an infraction, or you think somebody has violated any of the existing legislation, the next what to do is to identify the appropriate agency that should prosecute these individuals or organizations or entities, and then you proceed to the court. These entities and individuals and organizations will have a right of Defense. So, you know, the thing about democracy, like anywhere in the world, it's a bit complicated. You must follow a process, and that process is laid out and open. So you should send that charge sheet, I mean, the existing act, you need to send it, what they call Administration of Criminal Justice Act, send it to the individual ahead of time so that they can prepare their response.
All right, let's move on to the other top story, which has to do with the universities being grounded, exams stalled at BUK due to the, you know, the strike action by NASU, SANU, and NAT. Do you think the federal government thought it through when they decided to pay ASU and leave the other 3 unions pending when they all went to the same strike action in 2022?
Look at my quick response is simply this. The government, several administrations in Nigeria, not just about the administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that is merely 9 months old, administrations in Nigeria have not shown enough capacity, whether state, federal, or local government, to manage the education system. That's number one. Then 2, I recall in 1991, when you had what you today call, it used to be Education Trust Fund.
Okay.
Now it's a Tertiary Education Fund was set up. It was the idea of ASU to ensure sustainable funding of education in Nigeria. And in fact, the first board of education, Tertiary Education Trust Fund had ASU, I think ASU had about 6 members on the board. On the board of ASU. I can recall off cuff members of ASU that were members that were on that board. I recall I had I was in the university then. I had a friend and a lecturer who was an ASU national official, who told me, this is what we want to do. Professor Dr. Ndubuisi Osuagwu at University of Calabar. So this is what we want to do. But what happened is, can we get back and say, how much it's 2% of deduction from the profit of every company in Nigeria. That fund, if you ask me, can ensure that every Nigerian child go to school without paying a fees. There are countries that are already doing it. Germany, if you're a citizen of Germany, you go to school without paying. So each time government say we don't have money, in my head I'm saying, why did you set up this fund? So what has happened to the fund? Can we go back and say, look, let this fund education in Nigeria?
All right, let's leave that and hope the federal government will do the needful. Let's move into the New Telegraph is the next newspaper we're looking at as we reach almost the business end of the paper reviews segment. Let's look at the New Telegraph and the big stories from the New Telegraph. Okwama is a rider there. 17 officers, soldiers, killers may be machineries, says Akpabio. And we've got revenue. Nigeria faces a 1 trillion naira gas export deficit is a big story there. Then we've got Ways and Means is a kicker. Senate insists a total loan recovery. That's one of the headline stories there. Then we've got Putin wants NATO. That's on the global scene. Putin wants NATO is the big story there of World War III. Those are some very disturbing headlines there as regards on the foreign scene. Then we have other stories. SANU NASU strike cripples academic activities in ATBU. Then Constitution Review, reps unveil consultants reaffirms 2025 completion date. All right, let's look at Okwama, 17 officers, soldiers, killers, may be machineries, says Akpabio. How would you describe what played out in Ughelli? You have a good knowledge of Delta State. Do you think Akpabio is close to the truth or far from it?
I mean, to begin with, my condolences to the families of our gallant soldiers who lost their lives on the line of duty. I mean, when the story broke out, my heart was I was a bit worried. The first thing I asked myself is, what happened? That's the first thing you need to ask. What happened? What went wrong? How did we get to this point? it's sad that it happened, but we need to also get back and say, what led to this? How did we get to this? So, hearing or reading the Senate President say machinery, he's a number 3 man in the country. So you ask, are there information he has access to that you and I don't have access to? That's the first question. Then the second question is that, if he says it, is he ready to provide additional information?
Evidence to that?
To this, his statement? Then the other question would be, is the Senate or the House of Reps ready to set up an inquiry on what played out? Because if you look at the United States of America, usually when you have, an example is the pullout of the troops from Afghanistan that went bad. You saw how when President Biden said we are pulling out, there was a congressional inquiry that was open. I mean, the U.S. Congress conducted an inquiry. But part of the responsibility of the National Assembly, you know, they represent the people. Senate is by equality of state. House of Reps is by population. So every member of the House of Reps represents a certain population that make up the Nigerian Federation. So they have a responsibility to conduct an inquiry. And that inquiry should be open. Because what happens with such inquiries is that there will be lessons learned, you know, created that helps future deployment, future engagement, and future, you know, that will help virtually every stakeholder in ensuring that we have a stable, you know, democracy. So I think perhaps if Senate President is saying this, we need to take it serious. Take it serious in terms of he has access to intelligence that you and I don't have. He has access to information. Has he spoken to stakeholders across? And how did he make his conclusion?
All right, let's wrap it up with this talk about ways and means. Senator insists on total recovery. If they are to achieve total recovery of the Ways and Means loan, which was under President Muhammadu Buhari, do you think that will call for the president, the ex-president, to speak to the anti-graft agency or speak to the relevant committee that will be set up as a way to recover this Ways and Means loans?
Incidentally, the Ways and Means loans had occupied our political space for quite a while now. My major worry is the same National Assembly. I mean, I think about...
they approved it after it has been spent.
No. You can approve. It doesn't matter. But if you watch the proceeding of National Assembly on this matter, I mean, for those of them that were part of the 9th Assembly, there was no objection. So the Parliament said, look, the President, Muhammadu Buhari, has brought this matter before us, and we need to expeditiously act on it. But even within that, they still had a window of opportunity to have scrutinized that process. And there are some members of National Assembly who sat in that 9th Assembly, who are still part of the 10th Assembly. So when I listen to them, it simply gives me the impression that some people in National Assembly shouldn't be there. Because first, they don't understand their remit of why they are there. They don't understand they represent Nigerians, citizens, and they don't understand what they should be doing. I pay less interest to it. To your question, will President Muhammadu Buhari be speaking? Well, I don't think so, because no president has come to explain these are my policies, and also is a policy decision. So if somebody, the question to ask, if I make a mistake, if a president or an office holder makes a mistake in policy decision, would you ask him, come and explain? So these are the questions. Yesterday, I was listening to the analysis on the Senate committee that is interacting with the CBN officials. And I think the board of governors, deputy governors were saying we were not consulted. In my head, I'm saying, did any of them raise objection? Can we see the minutes of any of the meetings of the CBN where they say, look, we don't agree, we didn't agree? Because the minutes would have told us whatever anybody said. So it's all, for me, it's neither here nor there.
All right, we'll be wrapping up a paper review, but we'll go for a quick break. When we return, he'll be on the hot seat on the other discourse talking points we'll be looking at. So we'll be looking at the State of the Nation. We'll be looking at 2-3 other talking points. That will be after this break. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. You're still watching Africa's Finest Breakfast Show. It's now time for us to get into the discourse segment, and we still have our policy consultant in the person of Emmanuel Ozoimena, who will be doing the yeoman's job of looking at the state of the nation as we look at two talking points. One of them has to do with the NLC and the Labour Party rift, where the chairman of the party, in the person of Abure, has been accused of sinister moves to perpetuate himself in office and by trying to hold a convention in secret. And it led to the NLC picketing the different Labour Party secretariat. But there are a lot of questions to be asked. Is the NLC now finally showing its true colors, that it's partisan? We saw what played out in Imo State where Joe Ajero was manhandled due to his interference. He said it had nothing to do with politics, but now it looks like it's showing the true colors. So we'll be looking at that issue, what that means to the Labour Party. And also, if we remember that the president did tell Joe Ajaero specifically that if he was interested in politics, he should do well to step out from the NLC and become a politician full-time. So we'll be looking at those talking points. Also now we'll be looking at this people of the Southeast, where my guest Emmanuel Ozomena is partly from. We'll be looking at the fact that Justice Binta Inyako seemed to, is she playing to the dictates of the judiciary or some other aspects is what we'll be looking at, because she has rejected the bail condition of Nnamdi Kanu and also accelerated the criminal hearing. So that's a very interesting take. And she also said she wasn't comfortable taking him to Kuje prisons, but rather she feels he's safer with the DSS. So the question is, what is Justice Binta Inyako seeing that we can see? And does that tell us that Kuje prisons is no good enough? And should that be the case? Should one prison facility be better than the other? Is another talking point we'll be looking at as we look at the state of the nation. So let's welcome back the man who has been doing the yeoman's job already. Emmanuel, let's begin with the trial of Nnamdi Kanu. Honorable Ikenga Ugo Chinyere said if Kanu is released, it's going to make it easier for the peace to return in the Southeast, and said if the bail condition was granted, it would give opportunity for negotiations and talk. Do you agree with the Honorable?
Well, I think Honorable Ugo Chinyere, Ikenga Ugo Chinyere, representing Idato North and South Federal Constituency, it's a political leader in his own right. So perhaps he's speaking the view or expressing the views of his constituents, the people of Idato North and South. I wouldn't know. But if he says that, I mean, he has a right to say that. But I think the issue of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, it's an issue that has been there for quite a while and may also linger for quite a while. It has first a political dimension to it, and it also has other dimensions to it. But I think in all, a trial process is on. The judiciary has given several judgments regarding that issue, and somehow ultimately to be resolved. I'm sure the trial that was, you remember, they had to go to Supreme Court on some motions, and finally they came back to trial. So if a trial is on, let's allow Justice, Honorable Justice Binta Inyako to go on with the trial. Let's see how it unfolds. Incidentally, because it's a trial, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu also has his own defense team led by Professor
Zialoy?
No, Mike
who is taking charge of but let's
no. So he has his defense team,
okay,
that is huge. Let's see the argument each of the sides adduce in court but I think the trial should go.
Do you agree with those who seem to suggest that the government, whatever Justice Binta is doing, it's according to the script of the government as a way of ensuring that Kanu remains behind bars because of the threat he tends to pose to the nation? Do you agree to those school of thought who think in that direction?
If a trial is on in any way, I think what we should do as citizens, first, a trial process is based on the Constitution. That's number one. Then two, is a court of competent jurisdiction. And a court of competent jurisdiction, by our Constitution, has rights, remit to try offenders or alleged offenders. So if that process is on, allow it, let it run through, whether it runs for 10 years, 5 years, 20 years, or whatever it is. You've had, such, like I said, it has its political dimension as well as social dimension. So if government in their view thinks, let's run through the trial fully, let it run. Let's see how it goes. So it would be unfair to accuse a judge sitting in the court, because what you do is bring in evidence on both sides, and the judge weighs it, views it, and gives her judgment in this case. So let it run full. Let's see how it goes. It will be merely speculative to say, oh, this judge, the other judge, this court, the other court. Allow it roll.
For the issue of not granting accelerated hearing, does that do the Kanu more good than harm?
Let me tell you what happens in court. A counsel on this side say, look, I'm applying for continuation of trial on the 5th of May. The other one say, well, I've looked at my calendar, I'm not free that day. I want it to be done in June. What the judge says, oh, let's meet midway. I mean, if you've covered judiciary, that's the way it happens. And they will meet midway and agree on a date. So, and if you go through the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, because that's the basis of guidance for the courts, or rules and procedures of the Federal High Court, they usually say adjournment should not pass a certain number of days or number of weeks. I mean, these are the processes that most times are deployed.
What's the implication of Justice Binta saying she doesn't think his safety is guaranteed in Kuje prison, but guaranteed with the DSS?
No, a judge in chambers or on bench has full discretion to rule on a matter.
And you don't think
hold on.
Influence at a certain
Each time you disagree, what you may do is to go to a higher court. You can appeal on that ruling at an appeal court and get up to Supreme Court, and a judgment will be delivered, and you return back to trial. In fact, most times, if you follow history of trials, it's actually one motion, one objection, one ruling or the other that delays trials. One motion, I remember a certain case, somebody took a motion, and that motion took 12 years to get to the Supreme Court and back for trial. So these are the rules of the court. If you've covered judiciary, you will understand this.
All right, let's looking at now that he's back. What do you agree with the people of the Southeast that releasing him or discontinuing, because they also pleaded with the president to use his veto power to discontinue the trial as a way of bringing succor to the Southeast and probably healing old wounds. Do you agree to an extent that that might help, the Southeast, get over whatever challenges?
No, we're back to the same argument. You remember, if you watch or if you read the book by Femi Adesina, he spoke about when Igbo leaders, led by the late Chief Mbazulike Amaechi and others, came, Igbo leaders of thought, met with former President Muhammadu Buhari, say, no, I don't want to interfere. Let the full course of trial run. That was what Femi Adesina documented in his book. We now have a new president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He also has a right to say, I want to continue the trial. It's a question of calling the Attorney General of Federation. They apply for what they call nolli prosecute. We don't want to prosecute. And that ends. That's usually what people call political solution. The Attorney General will need to apply to the court and say, we are no longer interested in starting this. Like just what happened to Omo Iyele Sowore. The Attorney General applied for a nolli and say, we are no longer interested. But until that is done,
but how come? You see, that's where the politics is. That's where some Nigerians hold some bit of resentment to our leadership. How come someone like Sowore is being allowed, the government sees it necessary to do that, but on the part of people of the Southeast, they don't think that could help, cause succor?
Okay.
Because both of them are almost being charged for almost the same thing. So what makes Sowore more, why was it easy? Wouldn't people look at it to say, okay, yes, because they're from the same region, ethnicity. That's why it was a quick one for the federal government to, give that directive for the, AGF to get that done. But when it comes to this side of the divide, It's not the same.
I think it all depends on. I think each of these cases.
They were all treasonable cases.
Yeah.
So what makes you a better person than
in trial? What counsels, especially the prosecutors,
are you saying this ethnicity issue?
No, hold on. What prosecutors look at is, can we get judgment in our favor in this matter? What are the evidence available to us? If assuming we win at the first court of first instance, and they appeal, are we likely going to win at the appeal? There are a lot of things that comes into consideration in managing this process. So the question to ask is that the Office of the Attorney General would have looked at the issue of the case against Omoyele Sowore and others.
But wasn't it treasonable? That's what my question.
No.
Wasn't it?
What we need to look at.
Why are you shying away? I just want to know.
Not shying away. Not shying away.
Like I told you, treason. No, the case against him was treason.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Which Kanu is also, I said Nnamdi Kanu was also being charged for treason.
Okay.
So why is there now that difference?
No, but Sowore, for instance, if you look at Sowore does not control his influence in the Southwest. To what extent does he control people in the Southwest?
So why did they term it treason?
But if you do an analysis on Nnamdi Kanu, you can know the level of influence, in quotes, that he has assumed to have. Not the same with Sowore. Sowore had run an election. Nnamdi Kanu has never run an election. Sowore has been a presidential candidate twice in Nigeria, trying to build a young political party. Nnamdi Kanu had never run for an election, but people supposedly believe that he is influential within his area of sphere in the Southeast. So what I think, my personal view on this is, can we allow the process run through? But if at any time the president thinks, through the advice of the Attorney General, that look, we need to apply a nolli prosequi because we want to go for political solution. It's at the president's discretion.
All right. But what do you think will be the likely implication if now that there's going to be a speedy hearing of the criminal case against Kanu and he's found guilty? What kind of sentence do you see coming, and what do you think is going to be the ripple effect for the people of the Southeast?
No, it's still speculative. A judgment has not been given. The trial has not concluded.
We're just saying,
so it's speculative. Okay, should he be found guilty? He has a right of appeal. Court of Appeal, Supreme Court. So, and it takes quite a while. So whatever we are doing here, say, oh, this judgment will come out, it's merely speculative.
All right, let's move on quickly. We've got some minutes to go. Let's look at NLC Labour Party. Do you see some resemblance of NLC drifting from its mandate?
Incidentally, Labour Party was registered by Nigerian Labour Congress. They are holding the certificate.
But they keep...
No, hold on. They are holding the certificate of registration for Labour Party. Is at the NLC Secretariat. I'm aware of that. I have quite a lot of friends in the NLC, schoolmates, comrades, and all that. So they are holding this. It's their party. That's the first thing we need to establish. The party belongs to them. As you speak, a certain position within the NLC, within Labour Party, is held by a nominee of a Labour Party or from NLC. I've had people close to me who have held those positions. So they have what they call political bureau. I think some years ago there was a judgment by the Supreme Court that workers can't participate in politics. It's a judgment of the court. Supreme Court ruled. So it was at that point under Comrade Adams Oshiomhole that they established Labour Party.
Why was there that denial?
No, hold on. That they established. But NLC members, civil servants who are members of NLC, are not forced. It's not compulsion that you must be a member of Labour Party. In fact, it was under Adams Oshomole they registered the party. When he was to go for governorship of Edo State, he felt the party was at its prime time. They will not be able to mobilize support, and that's why he went for AC. So what I think should happen should be the NLC and Labour Party should go to round table. It's their party. Like I'm telling you on authority, the certificate of registration of the party belongs to, it's kept by the NLC. It's their party. And there's a ruling, based on the ruling of the court, that workers can participate in politics. But what you need to do is to take a leave of absence and return.
Let's look at the current rift. What good does it do the party? Do you think this might also cause more division and weaken the Labour Party?
No, what I thought in the first place, I haven't spoken to anybody on this. I'm yet to reach out to people within the Labour movement, I know. But I think at the initial time, I say, is it that they've suddenly found that the party is now a vital instrument, a potent instrument of
courtesy of the last elections?
Of getting to political power. Suddenly they want to get so involved. That's the first question I asked. There's a former Labour NLC leader who is a governor, I think in Jigawa State, one of the Kebbi State, a former official of NLC. But he didn't run under Labour Party. He ran under APC, the current governor of Kebbi State. So he was a former national president of an NLC affiliate. You know, they have a 47 affiliate union. Yeah. But he ran under, and there have been a lot of Labour Party people elected. We had the Apatasin, who was elected under in Edo. I think already. I think somewhere in Edo North. He was in House of Reps. Peter Apatasin. He didn't run under Labour Party, so they chose to run under parties they think they win election. You know, decisions about elections are what platform. But the last election has shown that with a political leader like Mr. Peter Gregory Obi, he has reactivated Labour Party. And Labour, you saw in Edo now, is 30 million for their forms for governorship. So it has moved from an unknown party to a potent political platform. And all they need to do is to grow it.
But with this current picketing of Labour Party Secretariat across the nation, what does this do for the nation? Can we say it's the after effect of Peter Obi? And do you see Peter Obi remaining in that party?
What Peter Obi hasn't told us he's leaving. I have access to some of his aides. They've never told me they are leaving. But the question...
No, but with all this crisis brewing...
No, even PDP has gone through their own part of crisis. APC have had their own... So every party will have their... You are talking about politicians struggling for space. I'm sure somebody's going to say, well, this current action by NLC is engineered by a fifth columnist. I mean, that would be a conspiracy theory. Yeah, but then what had not happened within the Labour Party is to say, look, our members, our founders, can we come to a round table and discuss? You saw when Ajero was in Imo ahead of the election. He was accused of meddling into politics.
But can we now say truly that was what happened?
I don't have any information.
But with what we're seeing now, doesn't he go to show?
But I think
there was some bit of it.
I think what is happening currently is they have found, like I said, their party as a potent platform, a party they founded. Even though what has happened, let me tell you, generally, I think NLC hasn't done well. Okay. They found a party, they didn't push that party to prominence. It took a former member of APGA, former member of PDP to take over that party and transformed it into a national movement. And they say, oh, let me take over. It's like you rent your house to someone who now beautifies the house, and suddenly you wake up and say, oh, please, your tenancy has run out, I need my house back. Because that house has become a potent force. But how it plays out will depend on the dexterity, the political maturity of the actors in NLC, the members of the Labour Party, or the next option may be exit Labour Party, set up their own movement. Because with this, it shows that 2027 will be tough for Labour Party, remaining as one. But they may also have the dexterity, have the knowledge, have the expertise to pass through, navigate through this crisis.
Well, looking at this current Abure, who is in the eye of the storm for the Labour Party, do you see him remaining or giving up the party, his position in order for peace to reign, or him moving to a different political party altogether?
Well, I think the issue shouldn't be Abure. We had Lamidi Apapa who came and say, oh, laying claim to the leadership of the party. And there's a judgment of the Court of Appeal.
Because now they're talking about a secret convention he's trying to hold.
No, how can a convention be secret when you must inform INEC?
Delegates.
No, you inform INEC, write to delegates. Or are they, I mean, I read something in the papers where NLC was saying they were not informed. And how did you know? Because you can't hold a secret convention. You must write to INEC, and it has to be 21 days. And the convention is to hold in Umuahia, Abia State, where Labour Party is their only lone state in governorship. So saying that a notice that you are aware of, that was in paper, that was written to INEC, cannot be secret. Right, so they are simply looking for attention. that's what I think.
That's a Joe Ajero now.
No, the NLC, they are saying, look, we have a point. You know, the analogy about a house that your tenant has beautified, it simply fits into the current state of NLC, and they are picketing. How come they didn't picket it a few years ago? There was an election in 2007, 2011, 2015, 2019. How come they didn't picket? So they have found he's a potent force, and should Peter decide to run again, Peter Obi decide to run again, he may also want to run on the party. So the interest on Labour Party, because Labour Party is actually the opposition party, if you ask me. PDP hasn't done enough of opposition.
All right, so that's where we're going to be wrapping up our discourse on this matter. We'll go for another quick break, and when we return, the program continues. I want to say a big thank you to Emmanuel Ozoimene, who has been fantastic in giving us a very balanced analysis of the state of the nation as we looked at 2 talking points. We looked at first the Kanu trial, especially with the rejection of the bail application by Justice Binta Nyaku, and also the accelerated hearing of the criminal case against him, and also the refusal to let him go to Kuje prison, but rather remain with the DSS custody. We looked at that issue, and also the NLC and Labour Party rift. And that's how much we're going to take on this discourse. When we come back from this very quick break, hopefully we'll be looking at other issues making the rounds. Stay with us.
Thank you.
Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll.
right, you're still watching Global Morning, and just to give you a little bit more sporting news update, then when we return, we'll be giving you some more discourse as regards some salient issues, probably focusing on the recent salary structure for justices in the judiciary, and we'll look at the implication of that and other issues making the round. Stay with us.
Hello sports fans, welcome to Sports News Update. Super Eagles ace Osayi Samuel faces 10-match ban. This is according to rules and regulations of the Turkish Football Association for violent conduct. Osayi Samuel, who is expected Wednesday to join the Super Eagles in Morocco for friendly against Ghana and Mali, was seen giving it back to fans who invaded the pitch during this game. He will plead self-defense to avoid punishment. A dozen fans were arrested during the crowd trouble and they will be prosecuted. In the meantime, his Turkish club Fenerbahce have said they will consider withdrawing from the league. A meeting fixed for April 2nd will take this decision. The Istanbul Giants are second in the league standings, 2 points behind leaders and city rivals Galatasaray. Minister of Sport Development John Enoch has praised the Daniel Igadi-led Nigerian Wrestling Federation following the exceptional performances of Nigeria's wrestlers at the African Senior Wrestling Championship in Alexandria, Egypt. The wrestlers dominated the championship, claiming a plethora of medals to continue their stellar form from the African Games in Accra, Ghana. At the African Games, all 6 women events gold medals were claimed by Team Nigeria, while the men won 3 silver and 2 bronze medals. In Egypt, they have since secured 4 gold and 1 silver under coach Purity Ako's guidance. In a statement, Senator Enoch expressed profound admiration for the leadership of the federation as well as the exemplary dedication of the athletes and officials. Brazil's justice system will decide whether former Manchester City and Real Madrid striker Robinho will serve his 9-year rape sentence handed down by an Italian court in the South American country. Brazil's Superior Court of Justice will examine the Italian request to approve the prison sentence that was imposed in 2017 and ratified in 2022. Robinson da Souza, popularly known as Robinho, remains free despite his conviction for being among a group of 6 men who gang-raped a young Albanian woman out celebrating on her 23rd birthday at a Milan nightclub in 2013. Kostan Koltsov, the boyfriend of tennis world number 2 Aryna Sabalenka, died of suicide on Monday evening after jumping from a hotel balcony in Miami, police have confirmed. The 42-year-old Belarusian, who played hockey for NHL's Pittsburgh Penguins, was announced dead by his former club Salavat Yulev on social media. Reports in Belarus claimed Koltsov, who has been dating Australian Open champion Sabalenka, 25, for 3 years, died of a detached blood clot before police in Florida revealed that he jumped from a balcony at a 5-star resort. Authorities in Miami have taken over the investigation as apparent suicide. England manager Gareth Southgate is reportedly Sir Jim Ratcliffe's number 1 choice to replace Erik ten Hag at Manchester United this summer. Ratcliffe is increasingly confident of tempting Southgate to Old Trafford after his Ineos sports team canvassed United legends, according to Daily Star. They claim that Southgate, who has been England boss since 2016, has the backing of some of the United's current players and also incoming director of football Dan Ashworth. Southgate and Ash worked together at the Football Association and would reportedly be keen to team up again. Southgate's contract with the Three Lions expires in December this year after the European Championship in Germany. And that's how we call it a wrap on the Sports News Update. I am Anthony Momodu.